November 2022. This isn't financial advice. I want to start off with a general market update. I'm coming up with a green light. Now, maybe it's because sort of stocks have moved up a bit. I'm sort of being lured in a bit. I'm sort of very aware of that. But anyway, let's go through some analysis. NASDAQ had a follow through day here. Really strong stuff. Has had a little bit of a pullback, but there's been no real distribution. So I think that's looking quite constructive here. Pretty shallow pullback as well. Now I know the 200-day is declining, so that's a negative. It's been acted as resistance all this year. So we'll see, of course, but sort of tentative stages, that's looking pretty decent. Similar to the S&P 500, it's actually at the 200-day moving average, so plenty to fret about there. Again, follow through day, only one distribution day, which is that day here, but it was pretty well bid. That's the other thing I was seeing, like stocks that are having a pullback are generally sort of catching a bid. So looking pretty constructive. The other thing is, are there new stocks setting up? And I think there is, and we'll get onto that in a moment. But solar has been really strong. There's been sort of other areas of strength as well. So so that's looking positive. The put call ratio is, funnily enough, actually still fairly high at 1.07. It did drop right down on this follow through day. Has come back a bit, so it's still showing there's plenty of uncertainty in the market. And I know there is uncertainty, and for a very good reason, recessions and all the rest of it. But equally, we are in a seasonally strong period, and also, stocks do tend to climb the wall of worry as well. So there needs to be bad news to sort of fuel these rallies out there. I'm not saying there's a new bull market. I actually don't know, but on balance, things are actually looking a bit more positive. The number of stocks trading above the 50-day moving average in the NASDAQ has climbed up quite a bit to 79.80. Now, normally that gives you a pause. It's definitely, we're not oversold anymore. Normally that would give you pause if it's sort of like coming out of an intermediate sort of a pullback, but coming out of a major correction like we have been in, you can be a bit more loose with that signal. So it doesn't mean we're not going to have a pullback or anything, but I'm not quite so concerned about that one at the moment. And also the number of stocks trading above the 200-day moving average on the NASDAQ is about 49. So again, it's sort of come well off the oversold, but 49 is still not a big number. It means only roughly 50% of stocks are above their 200-day moving average, which isn't much. You look at last year, it was up to 70, 80, 90 type thing. So nothing sort of too concerning there right at the moment. I'm not seeing sort of too much divergence either. So overall, I'm going to give it a green signal. And try and increase the exposure a bit, where I can. So speaking of which, let's look at some stocks. This one here, PDFS. I didn't buy this, and I don't know why that day. Holding that gap up really nicely at the moment. The semi space, which hasn't been strong, but still, market seems to be liking it. Moving averages are catching up. So this is one that I would actually like to be in. PI, a bit further along. Buy the gap up here. Just been sort of minding its own business, just holding it really nicely. Again, that's another stock I should have been buying on this sort of pullbacks here. Didn't buy on day one like I said it should. Anyway, both of those are really quite positive. One got the options in is SHLS in the solar. It's a very strong, moving up nicely. So we're almost a week or so into this initial momentum burst. So my studies show that that's probably go from anywhere from 2 to 30 days. But we're starting to sort of move along into this momentum burst. So sort of mindful that more often than not, you need to be selling at least some into strength in this momentum burst. So that's something that I'll be looking at doing. So if you look at FSLR, for example, like this is just such a strong stock. Look at this momentum here, day one, boom, and then just had this just almighty sort of run from, was it 89 what's 145, or even sort of just this initial period here was sort of super strong pull back and it's gone again. So this just highlights perfectly that after this initial momentum burst from these sort of Bible gap up days, you might have a pullback. Doesn't mean you should take your eye off the ball by any stretch, because this thing could go on to be just a super leader, which is sort of actually really what it's shaping up to be. In phase day one here, and good momentum burst here before again had a bit of a pullback, bit of a deeper pullback to be fair. Anyway, just goes to show how strong the solar sector is at the moment. Geo, sold my shorter dated call options into this strength. Again, strong momentum burst here. All things being equal, that you'd expect some sort of a consolidation or pullback, which I hope to be buying new options, longer dated, and if it's a healthy sort of pullback, also some shorter dated ones as well to make money that way. I hope to make this a big core position of mine. So this thing could be like a $25 stock in a few years. So I don't want to lose the forest from the trees on this one. So anyway, being disciplined, selling some into the strength. This sort of stock, it's struggled to catch a bid previously, so I thought it was wise to do that. New position, John Deere, big momentum burst. Now this doesn't. The last video I did on the Bible gap ups was thinking, really want to do it on either true momentum stocks, like true market leaders, or bankruptcy type stocks that are coming out of bankruptcy or perceived bankruptcy. So this one fits neither, so I've sort of disregarded my rules automatically here. The reason I bought this was coming out of a really nice long base, because it's like a large cap. How big is it? It's huge, 132 billion. The implied volatility was quite cheap. So to put that into context, the stock's at 438. If this thing goes to 480, my options were roughly 4 or 5x. So yeah, my idea is to just sell this once during that initial momentum burst. I'm not expecting this thing to be a sort of true market leader, because it's clearly not. Anyway, good set of earnings here too. It's been pretty healthy now. I think Jim Cramer was saying, well, this is a sign of a healthy market because it's a cyclical and sort of coming out of that. Now the argument against that is that cyclical is late stage. I don't really know, to tell you the truth. My idea is I'm just going to trade the chart on this and sell into that momentum burst. What others? Calix still looks pretty healthy. I'm underwater big time on those options. Still looks kind of pretty healthy to me. It's just not getting on with it. Now again, I've just got to remind myself that just because it's had a pullback here doesn't mean that it's bad or anything. A lot of the times these stocks with sort of huge moves, and these sort of gap up days can turn out to be sort of big market leaders. So I might add to this position. And the other one I've got is Rig. Been buying more options in this pullback here, both longer dated and shorter dated here. Not quite as convinced on this chart, but the fundamentals look so strong. So I'm going to just be patient with this one. It's been in a base for quite a while now. Now we just have to see here. Just have to see how it goes.